I have to confess, it would be one of my worst nightmares. One of my worst nightmares ever. And Brett Kavanaugh is going right through it right now. I can't believe how I would begin to respond to what at least I knew, I was sure of, would be an accusation of sexual misconduct. Not only of sexual misconduct as a terrible thing to have done, but then to know that the consequences of that accusation could literally be life-shaking, life-changing, and even life-shattering. I wonder if there could have been a better way. All of that's vital for those of us who are Jesus entrepreneurs. And so, instead of doing Sunday night meeting last night, I thought and prayed for the people involved. And now I'd like to talk just a little bit about it because it has something to do with the world we live in as Christian entrepreneurs. And indeed it would be. Again, my name is Stan Husted, and I am the regular leadership host of this internet radio program. Some people call it a podcast, but as someone told me, the name's probably going to change to internet radio, radio on demand, because it is going and growing. Just this past weekend, there was a consolidation, new organization started. I'm even in conversation with a group of venture capitalists who are saying, is it time for us, with the excellence that we have, at least in terms of the people, not necessarily my performance, but the people we have, that perhaps we should get involved in creating an audio content company where we could provide radio and audio content for companies around the world. I've done it in many ways, and perhaps I'm doing it right now for you, and perhaps we could do the same thing for your company, for your organization, so that part of your marketing, your connecting, your making yourself known, expressing yourself, we could help you create something just like this. An internet on-demand radio program to reach your clients, your customers, your colleagues, people all over the world that you hope will get your message and do business, do work together. That is something we are working on, and it is changing rapidly, profoundly, and we want to be a part of the good things that could happen for you and your business, and we want to help you do just that. So radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com is a way to reach out and touch us, and we want to be in touch and in tune. Well, one of the things I've often said in my teaching, and I try and shock people, or at least stir their mind a bit, when I say, actually, Pontius Pilate has two of the most significant statements in Scripture. And of course, Pilate is kind of a bad guy, certainly, the one who sentenced Jesus to death. The one who supposedly knew better, but he did what was better for him than what was true and right. But Pontius Pilate is known for the classic question that Jesus says that he is the truth. And Pilate says, what is truth? And that is the classic question in the world today. Who do we trust? Who's telling the truth? In the age of fake news, obviously liars, leakers, and whatever, who's telling the truth? Who can you believe? And that is getting harder and harder to discover. And what happened was that Brett Kavanaugh, a gentleman who supposedly has a very impeccable record, both in life and in his service and in his judicial career, had been nominated for the United States Supreme Court, and after going through a grueling challenge, he certainly seemed up to the task of meeting all of the challenges, of answering all the questions, of presenting himself as obviously the very talented and brilliant and just plain smart man that he is. And then all of a sudden, a woman, anonymously and now coming forth, has accused him of misconduct of a sexual nature when they were teenagers. Supposedly when he may have been 17 and she was 15, and now does this put the whole thing on edge? Is it over for him? And he says, it's not true. And she says, oh, but it is. What is true? Well, it's a drama to be played out, and it will not have a happy ending. Somebody is going to be hurt profoundly by what someone did, or what someone else did, or what they are doing right now. And it's going to be sad, and it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be hurtful, and we'll still probably never know who did right and who did wrong. Now, as a Christian entrepreneur, and as I say, a Christian gentleman is what I want to be known of before even being a Christian entrepreneur, I thought about how would I, if I had been asked to be a business performance coach. I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I do possess some life and business wisdom. How might I have mediated or perhaps have done this scene differently? And with your permission, may I just give a suggestion, and I'd love to hear your response to it. Obviously, it seems that for some reason this woman feels that this man has hurt her or had hurt her, and the conditions are foggy. Her credibility is profoundly at stake. There are a number of things that are emerging which will make her testimony and the timing and the way it is handled suspect. It just will. All of those things are involved in how it has come to be. And who knows where it will be. But if I were recommending that these two people who might have had some contact, how would I have suggested that it might have been handled a bit differently? Well, may I make a suggestion, and you're free to comment on it. Let's say that this man has been nominated, and let's say perhaps there might have been some incident of some kind. And here's the problem. The memory after 30 to 35 years can change profoundly. That's just a fact. Things that were and we believed were, and things that we thought happened might not have happened at all. We found out that this idea of repressed memories has been fraudulently used and greatly abused to the damage and detriment of many people. And supposedly we might be dealing with a repressed memory that somehow came to the surface about 5 or 6 years ago in 2012. Again, who is to know? Who is to know for sure? But here's a suggestion. If I would have been coaching the young woman, I think I would have said something like this. And she's not a young woman anymore, but as what happened to her as a young woman. Obviously you feel some great hurt and damage was done to you. And I'm sure she'd say, yes, profoundly. And you believe this man did this to you. Yes, I do. And what are you hoping will happen if you confront him with this? What do you want the result to be? And now she has to decide what she wants. Does she want to make sure he is no longer a judge and thereby having his life and his career somewhat shattered and maybe ruined? Is that what she wants? Does she want for someone to say, I'm sorry, and get some kind of recompense for that, either financial or emotional or whatever. What does she want from this whole encounter? And I would caution her is what you want may not be what you will ultimately get. But what do you want? Do you just want to forget it and let it go? If you don't, what do you want? And with that in mind, I would simply say something like this. I would suggest that you contact him through an intermediary and ask, after you tell your story and your situation, ask for a private but accompanied meeting. After all these years, come together. You're no longer 15 and 17. You're now in your 50s, and you've both been very successful in your careers, and you've established your lives, and you certainly don't want to be held responsible for the things you did as 17 years old and 15 years old, fully and forever. Nobody would, and nobody does, and thank goodness, hardly anybody is. And then I would suggest that that meeting be such. And you know what might have happened? There might have been an acknowledgement that something appropriate or inappropriate was done, or it was mistaken, or the intentions were different. It could be that forgiveness might be sought, that deep apologies might be given, that there might be, of all things, three great qualities: forgiveness, mercy, and healing. The triple slam, the triple win: forgiveness, mercy, and healing. I guarantee you that what's going to happen now, hardly any of those three things are going to happen for anybody. But there would have been possibly a possibility in that situation for forgiveness, for mercy and healing. And maybe there could have even been a public acknowledgement that something bad had happened. But now there was forgiveness, mercy, and healing. And life could have gone in some way triumphantly and better for both the man and the woman. And life could have been continued, and what could, in the words of St. Paul, the forgiven, the forgotten, the past, could be put in the past, and both could look forward to brighter and cheerier and more happier beings and futures. That would have been my suggestion. That would have been my attempt. I wish that would have happened. I wish perhaps that could have happened, but now it won't, as far as I can see. But it's just a suggestion, as perhaps as you, as a Christian entrepreneur, you're going to be put, first of all, be careful. The reason I would hate for this to be happening to me is not only the nightmare of the embarrassment to my wife, to my girls, to my family, my friends, and all the people who know me, but just simply the fact, that that could be devastating to me. And so I am so super careful in everything I say and everything I do and every intention that I have. And I would simply say today, if you're a businessman or woman as an entrepreneur, you better be careful. Bad things can happen. Bad things can take place. Wrong things can happen. False charges can be made. But we must be, in this day and age, super careful. Ladies and gentlemen has to be not only a greeting but an aspiration. We will treat every person we meet as the most important person in the world. We will be ladies and gentlemen, always and forever, throughout eternity, to the common good, to treating each other as the most important people in the world, and to the glory of God. So that's just the caution that I have and the thing that I would ask. That's what I think, what I wish would have happened, and as a kind of an overeducated disc jockey business coach would have been my attempt. I'd love to hear from you. Those things are going to happen. They're going to happen in your office. They're going to happen in your company. You need to be prepared for them. You need to have some wisdom as to how you will handle them. You need to know what you're going to do. But I also know that Pilate got something else right. I don't know if his question, what is truth, was right, but it certainly is the question. But later on, he made a statement about Jesus. And it's a statement that I say amen to. Because Pilate said, "Behold the man. Behold the man." That's right. That's why we call it the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience. Behold the man. Where does mercy, grace, forgiveness, power come from? It comes from the man. Behold the man. The Son of Man. The man of God. The one who loves us and cares for us and wants the best for us more than anything in the world. He is truly the entrepreneur who can create all kinds of new things, and he can save us from ourselves, from our sin, and from our stupidity. And we're all going to need that kind of saving sometime, some way, usually every day. Those are my thoughts. Pilate, what is truth? We deal with that dilemma. How might we have done this differently? And of course, behold the man. Okay, there you have my tale for the day. And I hope this has been helpful to you. Again, Stan Houston, tcenglobal.org, tcenglobal.org. We come your way from the Christian Entrepreneur Network. We want to hear from you. We want you to be on the radio. We want you to challenge us. And tcenglobal.org/contribute is how you can help us. We are a nonprofit organization. We are here to help you, men and women who want to be Christian entrepreneurs and be successful in your life and business. And we appreciate your donations, your contributions, your gifts. You know, just as someone said, drop a buck in the bucket. We would be grateful. Thank you for all you are doing with us and for us. And we'd love, again, as I said, to find ways that we can serve you. We've got all kinds of things coming up, new challenges, new opportunities. We're even going to be talking a little bit about what you can learn about building a business and selling a business and buying a business, but more important, building a business, perhaps with some examples from the very life of Jesus. And we are arranging right now to be interviewing some of the world's top Christian entrepreneurs, and they will be telling their story. They'll perhaps be singing their song, and they'll have good things to share with us. Again, my name is Stan Houston. Best and blessings. God bless us all, everyone. May the Spirit of God be right in the middle of that mess in Washington, D.C., and may God's will and purposes be done, not only on planet Earth, but in Washington, D.C., as they are in heaven. Take care. We'll see you later in the week. Bye for now.